All right, it is Empire of Sin time, and we have picked Daniel McKee Jackson as our boss. Why? Well, Mr. Jackson here is an undertaker. And as you will soon notice, this is going to deteriorate into a lot of death. But it's a gangster game, right? There should be a lot of death. Yeah, probably. But there's a lot of death. So, Mr. Jackson, he is the boss of the Vice Kings. He has a spiffing top hat and a penchant for shooting people with his pistol. He also gives good stuff for brothels and casinos. Fantastic, because they are much lower on the radar of the feds than anything else. But first things first, you can't be a mob boss without a crew. Unfortunately, though, nobody knows who we are. We have zero notoriety, we haven't done a thing, and really nobody wants to work with us. Now, I didn't see you on the list of available gangsters, and that is probably because you haven't hit the sub button. So why don't you go ahead and remedy that? All right, after interviewing about 4 candidates, because that's the only ones that were desperate enough to work with us, we have hired Grover and Gibby. Grover is an old dude with a beard, which that in itself got him hired. Gibby is a guy without a shirt, so that got him hired. And now, well, now it's time to start building. First things first, we need some gear. You can pay for gear, you can pay for weapons, you can go out there, you can buy them from the black market. But real gangsters attack thugs that are guarding stashes. Apparently somebody's just stashing weapons all across the city, and well, we're just gonna go get it. We're just gonna take it. And that thug didn't even fight us for it. He just stood there, watched us go up, take it, and walk off. So, submachine gun, fantastic. And I believe, yeah, Gibby is a submachine gun bro. So he just gets a better submachine gun. And no pistols for us yet. We're gonna stick with the pistol. Daniel Jackson has a skill which is called Last Rites, where he uses a pistol. I don't believe it's his actual pistol that he, like his, you know, equipped pistol. It's like a magic pistol that he finds someplace. Some sort of magic pistol. But when it comes to building the empire, you got to get buildings, you got to attack them, and you got to start rackets. And how we're going to start rackets? Well, we're going to hit up these scrubby buildings owned by other thugs. So there are some thugs in here. I don't know what they're doing in this building, but we're going to clear them out, and we're going to turn this into one of our first rackets. Now, you start off 2 rackets. I think you start off with, well, you have your safe house, you have a speakeasy, and a small brewery. The good thing for us, though, is that we are actually pretty good with casinos and brothels. Brothels don't even really need booze. Casinos do need some booze to operate, but not as much as obviously a speakeasy. And that's what I was checking before we headed in here. What are we going to turn this bad boy into once we take it over? Combat here, combat is interesting. Combat is an interesting beast in this game, because the combat is very XCOM-like, right? It's very XCOM-like. You're not really going to walk up and accidentally like walk up on somebody, because you're attacking buildings and whatnot. You're fighting the interiors of buildings a lot, or out on the street in front of the buildings. But the interesting thing is, it's, I don't know, when combat starts, you just kind of get like spread out randomly. Like you walked in, we're not even at the main door of the building. We're just kind of in another area. And I see they did that probably just so that it mixes it up, because you're always fighting the same interior otherwise, and you don't want to come up through the door and be like, okay, I'm going to fight this way all the time. However, it leads to some interesting situations, and you'll see that in some of the combats later on. But the other thing with the combat, even though it's fun and it's mixed, you know, mixed up pretty well, when it comes to like thugs like this is just a matter of putting the time in. I mean, the thugs are not going to do much, right? These thugs are not going to do a ton at all. But since the easiest way to get both buildings to put your rackets in and to find both equipment and money is to go out and attack these buildings that are held by thugs. You're gonna end up fighting a lot of thugs, especially in the beginning before you get into fights against, you know, the other mobsters out there.
Ashes to ashes.
So you kill off the thugs, and you get their building. You get some loot, you get some stuff, and then you can take over the building. You can ransack it, which is getting stuff from the building. You can tear it down or really cause damage to it, or you can fully like just destroy the building. Those are for later kind of stuff. But we are taking this building over and we're turning it into a casino. Casino and brothels is what we need. And then you just continue. Gonna wander around. We gotta check out some of these grayed out buildings. Oh, well, here's that thug who we snuck up on to take his stuff. If you recall, we snuck him around the fence and took the stuff he was guarding. Apparently he got bad after all. But yeah, I'm not really worried about one thug out in the middle of the street. Oh, or maybe we should. No. You get shot there. I don't know. Okay, these are the guards in front of one of our buildings that actually got into the fight. So if you get a fight and there are other people around, you know, like your guards or others guards, you know, like that, you end up actually fighting. It can be some big fights. I've had fights with guards standing in front of all manner of buildings, just getting into the fight. And also, you got to make sure you don't fight close to police officers, because then they will join as well. And if there's one thing that ruin your reputation with the police department, it's shooting police officers. So just try to avoid that. But we're gonna continue. We continue taking out some more buildings to just get our first amount of businesses up and ransack some stuff out just to make some money. Now, an interesting thing I found is that you have a lot of these guys that just love to run into melee, like this guy did. And Overwatch works fantastic in this game. Like they'll come out of cover no matter what, because they got to come and take that hammer or crowbar or whatever weapon they have. Try to take that to your face. So you just go Overwatch, they come running at you, and it really seems like your chances to hit when you're in Overwatch are a lot greater than they were otherwise. And maybe that's just something that it seems that way, but yeah. And since we don't have enough money to actually turn this into a business, we're gonna ransack it. We're gonna search it through for money, for equipment. We got ourselves a nice gun, and then we're just gonna continue our rampage through town. The Dead Kellys. The Dead Kellys they're like a minor faction. So there are several minor factions that don't have a crime boss. And they usually you can either do some minor trading and stuff with them, or you can do what we will do. And we're just gonna go in here and we're gonna take over their stuff. And by taking over the stuff, I mean we're gonna murder them, and then we're gonna take their building. And the nice thing is that when you take a building from somebody, it costs nothing to take it over if you keep it the same thing that it already was. You want to attack these guys? Yes. And there it is. That's how easy that was. So we're gonna take this over. It was already speakeasy. Let's keep it a speakeasy. Let's keep the name. It's just under new management. And it looks like they have a couple of more right here on the street. So, well, they haven't realized that we are at war with them yet, or whatever. So let's just go over here, do the same thing. I don't know who these guys are. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out once we're done. Bunch of drunk people. Where are the guards at? One guard there. Let's see. Okay, the other guard's right there. And then we'll just do our special move. Attack these guys you're not at war with. Of course. Kill him. Or her. And him. Done. Boom. This is also ours. And we'll take it over. Now the speakeasy. Vinny's Tavern. Sure. That's fine. And now we're gonna, let's go take the next one. They're all in the same block over here. Might as well just take all of them, right? I don't know what this cluster of people over here are. That's probably a completely different gang. Now the dead Kellys have figured out that we are not nice. So he just attacked us as we walked up in front of his building. Stranger hands you a note. I heard about trying to get your foot in the door. This is a mission. And there are several missions. There is a kind of an RPG component. There are missions, there are backstories and stuff. They spend a lot of time on that. And they are worth doing. They're definitely worth doing. They give you money. They give you all sorts of things. But those crews there, that was the White Circus. So it looks like the White Circus. That's a different gang, and that lady with all the tattoos. She wants to sit down. So before we go and sit down with her and have our first chat with this new faction that we ran into, let's just take over the last building from the dead Kellys over here and just expand the empire a little bit. You know, it's just fine having some extra buildings.
No other end.
And another building is ours. And we're just gonna keep them. The exact thing that they had, just keep it as cheap. All right, so it looks like she's not too happy with us killing off other factions and doing stuff, and she actually wants us to pay tribute, this lady. But she can, as you see, she can buzz off. But now we're gonna go talk to her. So let's go have a sit down with this lady. We'll take a cab over and we'll go and sit down with her. These are actually kind of cool, and we'll go through a little bit of it. We'll be kind of short with her.
Mr. Jackson himself. How are things?
They're fine, Maggie. How's the circus?
Lively as ever. You should come by and see the show sometime. I might even let you put your head in a lion's mouth.
Let's get to the point, Maggie.
All right, Daniel, the businessman. I got a proposition for you that'll benefit both of us. Interested?
Let's hear it.
I got a little something.
So now she'll discuss like a business deal with us, and this is essentially your character's bonus and her bonuses. Like they're trading bonuses for a little bit.
I want you to get the cash flow.
So we have, you know, better income for casinos. That's what she wants. While, you know, her bonus might be, you know,
All right, Miss Dye.
cheaper security at brothels or something. So that's a trade deals that you can do with all the different characters in the game.
I'll see you around.
Now, I don't really care about her because she's in our neighborhood, and we're likely gonna end up fighting her like very, very shortly. But here you can see what we get from her, and then, you know, she gets our bonuses to her empire, sort of thing. I don't think there's a ton though that we really care about it. And again, like I said, we are in the same neighborhood. This is the loop that we're in, and we're sharing this neighborhood with her and probably one other boss started in the same area. So the odds that we're gonna end up fighting are pretty high.
Assholes.
I'm on it.
And like predicted, we are at war with the White Circus and Maggie's clowns. We were just doing our own thing. We may have been doing a little thing for the mayor. and trying to recover some money out of one of her casinos. And we talked one of the guys that worked there into stealing $50,000 out of a safe. Then they might have just come and confronted us in the street. And remember I said earlier, if you end up in this fight in the street and there are other businesses around that have guards outside, those guards join in. And well, one thing led to another, and then Maggie had lost about 15 people. And that was enough for Maggie to get mad at us, I guess. And since Maggie was mad at us, I figured we'll just go straight to her safe house and we'll pay her a little visit. So her safe house, this is her safe house. It looks like a bar to me, a posh bar. That's what I want my safe house to look at, but that's where we're at. And that's what has happened now. And now Maggie is bleeding out on the floor. Maggie's bleeding out on the floor, and this should be over very, very soon. It's a good thing we're not keeping this as a safe house once we take it over. We're gonna change this into something else. It'll be a bar or a brewery or something. Because when you throw grenades inside, like, you know, pretty places like this, they generally turn out to be less pretty afterwards. But Maggie's bleeding out. Her maid woman over here is bleeding out. There's not much left. This is another victory for the Vice Kings.
Everyone dies eventually, Maggie. Even the ones that do not fear death. Everyone dies eventually, Maggie. Even the ones that do not fear death.
Well, Maggie is dead. Our entire empire belongs to us. And, well, I think we've just become the biggest mobster in town for now. By essentially just killing her off. Obviously now, we own a lot of buildings. And we're spending a lot of money. Of course, we have to spend this money to start upgrading, especially security, because once the other gangs decide that they want to fight you, you will continue doing these fights that you've seen us doing, but they will not be with your cool crew. It'll be with the guards that are hired. So you know, if you don't go in and start investing in some security, you're gonna get jumped and start losing your businesses, just like we are rackets, just like we have been taking these rackets from others. So in order to make money, and in order to have money to invest into our businesses, to keep them safe while they are growing, to give us money back, that's a lot of money stuff. But in order to make money, we are now back to our roots, which is walking around to these derelict buildings full of thugs and killing people. After a really bloody spring and early summer, we have finally upgraded our businesses. We have security in place, just so we not just bare bones. And it is time to start looking for the next gang that is out here somewhere. Goldie and her people, the fortune tellers, are here. Plus, we might want to look at some other areas. Pretty good production of swill. Let's make sure that we actually are serving the swill that the people want. But anyway, our bloody rise to the top of Chicago will continue in the next video. The crew needs to rest their trigger fingers. There's been a lot of shooting. A lot of shooting. You know how this works. If you don't want to be mistaken for a rival gang member, make sure you hit the like button. You might even want to subscribe just to be on the safe side. And then we will catch you out there. Well, hopefully we won't catch you, but we will see you out there on the next one. Oh, it's just a guy hanging out. This is more boring than I thought it would be.
Anchor. I can't. Oh my God!
I was typing.